sinks low over shimmering waters. On the islands, sea oats wave in the breeze. Foam billows from the bow of a passing shrimp boat. The lighthouse beckons us home. The harbor waits to welcome the day's catch. Tonight there will be shrimp and blue crabs for supper. In this historic place of magic and mystery, the world of Joe Moran lives on. Joe Moran was born in 1915 to a family of fourth-generation Biloxi boat builders. He loved the old schooners. He painted ribbons on boats as a child. He shrimped. He raced sailboats. And he designed boats in the most creative ways.
In order to design and build a boat, you had to be a real good artist to begin with. To be able to draw your own boat and lay it out and take a table of offsets off of it. He was very observant. I could show you on one of those models in there that if you look at the model close, the entire design of the boat is really the backside of a porpoise flipped over, because he knew a porpoise was a fast swimming fish in the water. The race boat, way ahead of its time. And that boat was built in '63. And he was more or less told, never mind the rules, let's build a boat that'll outrun anything. So he guessed it was running right close to 96 to 100 mile an hour. And he was so accurate with his speed and stuff that he turned right around. He would take, say, a Michigan wheel prop, and he would alter them and cut them the way he wanted them. And he would actually notify the manufacturers of what he's done with one of their wheels and how much it improved it. And today, the cleavage wheels you see on these offshore race boats, in fact, almost all of your fast boats, is of what he done and called a bat wing to the same wheels back in the 50s and 60s.
Joe married Dorothy Davis and began a family of 11 children. He worked for Higgins Marine and redesigned the PT boat to make it faster. His boat building business was booming when disaster struck in 1947.
He was producing 35 boats a week with 35 men. He had just set up to produce 50 boats a week, and he had an order in from one of the big oil companies for 500 boats, and all the material came in right before this hurricane. When the hurricane hit, he took all that material up the river where he said people were even nailing it up in their houses so they couldn't reclaim it and things. Everything he had was in that business. Every home he owned in New Orleans and in Biloxi, in a service station, he sold it all and put it into that business and lost it all.
Once again, Joe rebuilt his business, and once again, tragedy. His young son was killed in 1954 when a tunnel he had dug in freshly pumped-in sand collapsed on him.
The biggest change I've seen in his life was when my brother passed away. He turned right around. Things didn't matter anymore. Humans were so much more important and more valuable than any material possession, because any kind of material possession could be replaced. A human couldn't.
Finally, a fateful day in 1959 ended the career Joe loved when a boat he was painting fell on him.
But rather than drop the boat, he strained and brought it back up. And then we set it on some sawhorses. He sat on a sawhorse then and said he didn't feel good. And that night he and I went to a theater, because he always loved to go to and sit in the old hard wooden chairs, and he twists and tossed and turned. He could not get comfortable. The next morning he was paralyzed.
Joe had shifted his heart from its socket. He was confined to bed for a year. To cheer him, his doctor asked him to draw. This first drawing was so realistic, judges at an art show thought it was a photograph.
It was kind of miraculous that he could draw and had that kind of perception to be able to make it look like a photograph when it wasn't. And he was told to do anything other than heavy lifting and all, to draw, paint, do something to get his mind off himself, and he kind of shocked the world with his talent.
Joe's incredible talent stunned his friends. They speculated he had simply inherited it from his late grandfather, George Orr, Biloxi's legendary Mad Potter. Joe studied books on Renoir and the Old Masters. He took lessons from New York artist William Steen when his paintings caught the attention of E.W. Blossman, a Coast art collector.
We liked his paintings. We thought he was an incredible artist. So we started collecting his paintings. And we have a wonderful collection of Joe's paintings.
The Blossmans commissioned dozens of paintings and murals, many several feet tall. Their patronage provided Joe steady work, which allowed him to develop and perfect his artistry and support his 10 children.
We gave him his first showing, and that was a huge success. When everybody saw what he could do with a sort of a mini-mass collection, then they realized how fine an artist he was. And I loved all his paintings, and I thought they were very remarkable, and I compared them to Bill Steen's portraits and paintings, which we have quite a few of. One painting I have of flowers, I told Joe, I said, Bill was holding your hand when you painted that, because it looks exactly like Bill Steen had painted it, and yet it was Joe's. And it's just a beautiful floral painting.
Joe soon became a local celebrity.
I did a program called Good Morning South Mississippi for 10 years, and I think Joe was a big part of that program. He was a special guest. I had a segment, Artist of the Week, and he was my Artist of the Week a lot. He started out with 2 figure 8s in charcoal, and I thought, oh, we're in trouble. But those figure 8s turned into a beautiful, beautiful charcoal print. And I don't, to this day, I don't know how he did that. You know, you see all these people on camera now, and they paint by numbers and tricks. There was no trick to it. He just started out with 2 figure 8s and made the coast come alive. In my opinion, Joe was very special to the coast in that he captured it for us. He took us beyond that point, and it just, you know, you see something and it's gone, and he'd see something and I guess it would live on through his art.